Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai dai yai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Try it with me. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. We begin on page 142 as we welcome the Shabbat angels. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchoni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is so good to be here with all of you. We are so excited. This Shabbat is Haley becoming a bat mitzvah, which begins tonight and will resume with her ascending to the Torah tomorrow morning. I am Cantor Jessica Hutchings for any of our guests, and you may notice that I actually am finding myself going over here because this is my spot, but I'm going to try to be in the middle because I have two roles now for the next 3.5 months as our rabbi is getting ready to leave for Jerusalem for his sabbatical. So we will miss him, and I will do the best that I can to be there for each and every one of you during this time. And if you feel like you want to get up here and give a Devar Torah or lead some prayers, give me a call, because I'm open to it. We're going to have some guests over the course of the next couple of months so that we can, see what we're maybe missing from other places in our country with some of our special musical guests. I'm bringing one of my rabbis. It should be a really delightful time, and we send all of our good vibes to Rabbi Axelrod on his journey. All right, so without further ado, let's kick off Haley becoming a bat mitzvah by inviting her and her family up to light our Shabbat candles. So we'll invite her mom up, Haley will come up, and her aunt, and let's see, I don't know if I have my notes here, I don't say specifics, but if you think you're lighting the candles tonight, light the candles tonight. Maybe a grandma, maybe a bestie. We're on page 120 in our Siddur. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. ושנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Page 124. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. And so we turn to page 138. We've already welcomed the Shabbat angels, and now we welcome the Shabbat queen. Verses 1, 2, and 9. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor haberacha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise to greet the Shabbat queen or the Shabbat bride on verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We continue on page 144 and remain standing.
Yitkada v'yikada shemei Rabba, Ve'alma divra chirotei v'yamlich malchutei, B'hayechon u'v'yom echon, U'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, u'vizman kariv, V'yimeru amen. Yeshmei Rabba mevorach, Le'alamo me'yamaya, Yizbarach V'yitzbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitzpa'ar, v'yitzomar, v'yitznaseh, v'yitzhadar, v'yitzhaleh, v'yitzhalah, make it to the Shabarehu, Le'amin kol berachata, v'yirata, tushbehata v'nehemata, damira v'yama, v'yimeru, amen.
The longest, we're going to keep you standing, don't worry. On page 149, we read together with Haley.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Do you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Le'olam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. You may be seated.
We continue with Ve'ahavta, page 154.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elecha v'chol livacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elef asher Anohim misavecha hayom al livonecha v'shinatam livonecha V'dibarteha, v'dibarta v'shivteha, v'teha, uvlekteha, baderet, Ushavleham uvkumeha, Ushartam leot, alarodeha, V'hayil totafot, beineneha, Uftaftam, al mezuzo beiteha, uvishareha, Leman tiskeru, vasivtam, ekol mesyotai, V'yetkem kedoshim Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohim, Asher hotzeti etem me'eretz Yisrael, le'yot lahem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohim, Adonai Elohim emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to the promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Moshe Miriam ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם. Yabba bim bim bam, yabba bim bam, yabba bim bim bam, yabba bim bam, yabba Adonai, mi kamoha, nedar barkodesh, nora tehilot, oh seifele, nora tehilot, oh seifele, ma'achatecha ravanecha, ve'yayte Moshe, ze'li'adonecha, Adonai imloch le'am va'ed, Adonai imloch le'am va'ed, Yabba bim bim bam, yabba bim bam, yabba bim bim bam, yabba bim bam, yabba bim bam, yabba bim bam. ונאמר כי יפעל אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. So we turn to page 162. By special request tonight, we're going to sing our prayer of Yismechu. We're preparing everyone for tomorrow for Haley becoming bat mitzvah, and it's our tradition that the B'nai Mitzvah students come up and help lead it. So we're going to ask them to do that tonight. She really wants you to be ready with Ruach for tomorrow, so we're going to have like a little warm-up tonight. So this may seem incredibly silly to you. That's okay. It is, but when we're silly, it means that we experience a little bit of joy. So why not be a little bit silly sometimes? So Shabbat is all about the oneg, the delight, the joy of the day, of the 25 hours. So we dance a little bit. So the dance is silly, but you have to participate. It is a requirement. Because if you don't, everyone's going to look at you. And if you do, I promise you'll feel better in 3 minutes than you do right now. So it's a win-win situation. And you can do it from your seat. So I don't know what you guys are waiting for, but come on up. Okay, and we have our cousin from Poland. He's gonna help join us.
Ethan.
All right, you guys are ready. Yeah, anyone who knows it. All right, so they're gonna demonstrate the first time so that you can learn it. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat.
That's the whole thing. We do that 8 times. Can you handle it? Okay, here we go. And a smile is part of the choreography. Thank you.
Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat.
Shabbat, here we go.
Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat.
Shabbat. Last 2 times.
Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu v'malechu teha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat.
Beautiful. All right, you're warmed up and ready for tomorrow.
job.
That's awesome. Thanks, everybody. Now, a little fun fact, because in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have the honor, a few weeks, I'm going to have the honor of bringing my rabbi, Rabbi Stephen Einstein. He's going to be a guest for us that Shabbat. I think it's March 10th. He is the reason that I give that Yismechu so much ruach, and he did not choreograph the dance, but he doesn't need a dance, and you'll see what I mean when he comes to help us lead the service. And if you have my first album that I passed out when I first came to CNT so you could learn some of the melodies that I liked, he's on there singing Yismechu with me. So I think it was called The Taste of Shabbat or something. So if you want to remember that and get ready for him to come, take a listen. All right, and so we launch into our Amidah prayers, our standing prayers. On page 164, we rise.
Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Adonai Sefatay Tifta Ufia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Kovim, Bekonei Hakol, Yoher Hasdei Avot V'Imachot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahaba, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Zvat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mehayei Hakol, Atah Rav Le'Yoshia, Mashipach Merit HaGashem, Mehakel Hayim V'Hesed, Mehayei Hakol Be'Rachanim Rabim, Zomek Noflim V'Ofeh Holim, Umatir Asarim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishnei Bnei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Lumido Belar, Melech Mimi Sumekayem, Umatzmi Eleshua, V'ne'emanata l'harayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mehayei hakol.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue in silent devotion through page 180 using the words on the right or the left side of the page or the words within your heart. When you have completed your prayers, please be seated. If you're joining us on the live stream, Shabbat Shalom. At this time, we invite you to submit the names in the chat of those you are thinking of for Misha Berach for healing prayers. submitted to our office. My Aunt Donna Zale, David Goldstein, Faith Leichter, Marilyn Goldstein, David Torchman, Terry Rabin, Mike Petty, Karen Krebs, Irit Bat Yehudit. If there is anyone here who is thinking of someone or maybe multiple people in the bed of illness in need of our healing prayers, please rise and say their names at this time. You can just say the names. Brian Pence, Louise Garachi, Kim Rodriguez, Ray Singer, Vincent Rodriguez, Glenn Heil, Evelyn Heil, Kurt Plotkin, Rory Cerno, Ray Ratig, Sherry Sorrell, Susu Bolton, Joan Cantor. If you feel comfortable and you want to rise and put your arm around the person next to you, we're bringing back that tradition. Page 371. Pray for all of those in need of prayer. Before I even begin to launch into a Devar Torah tonight, I want to preface the uniqueness of this Shabbat, Repro Shabbat. I didn't name it. For several years, this quarterly Shabbat has been encouraged by the National Council of Jewish Women. Using their words, I'll explain the topic and the Jewish thought behind it. What I'm trying not to do tonight is debate politics, but instead, through the lens of reproductive freedoms, examine how we treat people with whom we disagree, with a sense of respect, understanding, and empathy. The NCJW's Repro Shabbat mission statement is, reproductive freedom is a Jewish value. Our tradition not only permits the termination of pregnancy, but even requires it when the life of the pregnant person is at stake. Pikuach nefesh, the saving of lives, is a key principle in our tradition, as is upholding human dignity, kavod habriot, and working to make our society more safe and just for all. And the fact of the matter is, it's a part of our lives, 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will terminate a pregnancy by the age of 45. In the wise words of reproductive justice activist and We Testify founder Renee Bracey Sherman, everyone loves someone who has had an abortion, whether they know it or not. We know that limiting reproductive health access has disastrous consequences. So that's the mission statement. People who are denied access to reproductive health care, disproportionately those struggling financially, Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, young people, rural communities, immigrants, people living with disabilities, and LGBTQ individuals are more likely to live in poverty and to remain in abusive relationships. High rates of unsafe abortions are directly associated with laws restricting access to critical health care. Our communities should be places where anyone who has or may ever terminate a pregnancy feel loved, welcomed, and supported. They should be places where people understand that our tradition teaches about these issues, and they should be places where we understand the importance of fighting for reproductive health, rights, and justice for everyone. We must not remain idle while barriers to healthcare place any individual's health, well-being, autonomy, and economic security at risk. Repro Shabbat falls on the Shabbat when the Jews read Parashat Mishpatim. It's the Torah portion with the verses that form the basis of the Jewish approach to reproductive freedom. The story of an accidental miscarriage that teaches us much about how Judaism does and doesn't regard a personhood of a fetus. So let's take a moment and look inside our Torah for some guidance to help make this decision less political and more compassionate. In Exodus 23, in the same parsha, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the feelings of the stranger, having yourself been strangers in the land of Egypt. While we are all different and unique, we are also the same in the sense that we have felt like outsiders looking in. We have all had moments when we want to assimilate and be like everyone else, but we never feel like we can get there. We have all been in a situation where we know what is right and just, but see the majority doing the opposite, and we feel outside ourselves, vulnerable and unable to make our voices heard. We have all been strangers in a strange land. So for a moment, put yourselves in the shoes of a person who discovers they are pregnant and struggles with the idea of creating and nurturing new life. How they arrived there is of no consequence, whether it was failed birth control, accidental, or God forbid, the result of assault. That person has decided not to follow through with the pregnancy, so we can vilify them or we can welcome them with love, compassion, and empathy. Repro Shabbat was chosen for this parasha because of the line in Mishpatim about the legalities of a third party harming a fetus. That is fantastic in connecting the idea of pikuach nefesh, saving a life, but what interests me more is the concept of being lost and needing support. Love your neighbor as yourself. Don't oppress the stranger. It's all just a synonym for be kind. Nobody's asking what you would do. They're asking you to let it be, give a hug, and lend an ear. Who loves someone, what gender they identify as, and what they do with their body really has no bearing on your life other than to say, walk beside me and be my friend. That's it, period. We could sit here and debate laws, Roe v. Wade, Supreme Court, and the fact that there may be no outlet for terminating a pregnancy in this country sooner rather than later. I could retell my story of a missed abortion, but we've heard this before. And if you haven't, you can check out my blog, conceivingcantor.com. Tonight is about putting all of the tachlis, all the little stuff aside, and saying, Shamati, I hear you, and I'm here for you. Instead, let's look at someone else's story, a true yet anonymous one. There is only one person in my life who has ever shared the personal trauma of having an abortion. It was around the year 2000. She was 17 years old. She came from a very unstable home where food stamps meant there would be food on the dinner table, alcohol and drugs were abused, and there were at least 6 people living in the 3-bedroom, 2-bath home at any given time. She once told me in confidence that she wanted to be a mother, but really wanted to finish school, and she needed to keep her after-school job. There was no condition for raising a child. She said she used birth control, but it failed. She also said her brothers and extended family wouldn't understand, so she and her sister made the trip to a clinic to do what was right for her in that moment in her life. So we could sit here and say she shouldn't have been sexually active at 17, or she should have been more careful, or she should have told her family because they would have cleaned up their act and helped raise that child with her. But the thing is, it's not for us to judge that. We don't know how difficult life was for this teen, and to her, this was a last resort. Other than her sister, she was alone. And thankfully, she had Planned Parenthood to go to, and her state hadn't taken that away. But what if she was in a situation and she could not make that decision for her body and for her life? What if nobody showed her compassion in a time of loneliness and struggle? Where would her life have taken her? So with the resources of Judaism and the common sense and open heart that I carry, I have formed this opinion, meaning you don't have to agree. Potential life, the role of the fetus, it's not life until we give birth to life. We can debate all of that. But until then, we regard it as part of a pregnant person's life. And it is for them to decide what to do with their own reproductive care. Don't agree with what they're doing? That's okay. We have an entire practice in our tradition that is based on disagreements. It's called the Talmud. It's good to debate. It's good to have disagreements. And most importantly, it's good to see from someone else's point of view. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, what can we do to help someone who feels like a stranger in a strange land when it comes to the decision of terminating a pregnancy? We can refer them to their local clergy for guidance, strength, and comfort, should they feel comfortable with their clergy person. We can recommend a local resource like Planned Parenthood, or perhaps there's an OB that you really trust. We can offer to send a nice meal or invite them over. It's likely that someone struggling with this is feeling alienated and alone. But an hour sharing a meal with someone who is compassionately listening, actively listening, could be incredibly comforting. What we should not do, don't try to talk them out of it. Just listen. Don't judge them. Just listen. Don't ignore them. Just listen. Abortions don't happen without reasons. And the point is, we don't get to judge what those reasons are because they are not our reasons. Those are not our shoes. So next time someone says, I'm pregnant but I don't want to be, all we have to say is, how can I support you? Or what do you need? Can we make that agreement with each other? What can we possibly do to make this situation better? Can we do all of this? Can we agree to disagree because we have been strangers in a strange land and we know how it feels to be facing difficulty all alone? I leave the question open-ended. And I leave you with this prayer written by the National Council of Jewish Women for this repro Shabbat. Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, God of our ancestors, we affirm that you have created each of us in your sacred image, endowed with the inherent right to dignity and autonomy. We ask that you guide us towards a caring and loving community and nation that reveres this dignity in each of us. We affirm that reproductive freedom, the sacred right to own the personhood of one's own body, is a fundamental part of the just society for which we strive in your name. We ask that you endow us with the strength and resolve we need because the path that lies ahead is challenging and we all need resilience, strength, and courage. We ask that you protect the most impacted and marginalized among us because it is they who are the most at risk. We do this work in your name, O God, because we are the compassionate, loving creations of a compassionate, loving, and just God. It is holy, sacred work. May our country become a place of liberty and justice for all, and may our care for one another include care and respect for each other's right to good and affordable health care, including abortion care, and the right to live safely and securely as we each follow our path of conscience and the God we each do or do not believe in. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. And so we turn to our Aleinu prayers. Aleinu l'shabeach, it is up to us to make the change that we want to see in the world. Please rise. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were freed to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own the vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. Aleinu l'shabeach, it's time to live our praise. Page 586. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We remain standing for our Kaddish prayer on page 598. If you're watching on the live stream again, please submit those names in the chat at this time. We say Kaddish for those who have recently left us: Sally Shapiro, Susan Meyerhoff, Maureen McLaughlin Landon, Shoshana Bearer, Lillian Kotlow, Sunny Spivak, Sybil Weingast, David Funk, Jean Knapp, Scott Bernick, Stacy Hutchings. We say our Yortzites for the anniversary of the death of Richard Alberton, Gertrude Alexander, Bertha Aronovitz, Claire Frida Birney, Molly Blatstein-Katz, Rose Adler Bonwick, Jeannie Bromberg, Stacy Bromberg, Ida Mae Cohen, Leonard Cohen, Jacob Cohn, Michael Draister, Irene Dwash, Al Epstein, Isabel Flores, Frida Friedman, Ruth Friedman, Martin Gerlster, Teresa Gogel, Jay Goldfarb, William Goodman, Rose Ingber, Raymond Nitkin, Maria Nunez, Minnie Prezant, Esther Rothman, Alex Ruiz, Sheldon Silber, Rewa Sofer, Rose Solowitz, Mildred Supe, Sue-Ell Sussler, Seymour Talski, Helene Unger. If there is anyone that was not mentioned that you would like to mention tonight for Kaddish or for Yortzeit, or you're just thinking of them, please say their names aloud at this time. Sunny Spivak. Cyril Copeland, John Ellig, Ann Elliott, Marnie Reingold, Gilly Chen, Safta Blanca, Sandy Behrens, Joel Katz, Bob Weingarten. Page 598, we read together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivorach leolam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say amen. Please be seated. I invite our president, Jerry Gordon, up for announcements.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. First, congratulations to Haley and her family. She was great tonight, and we can just imagine what she'll just breeze through tomorrow tonight. Also, thank you to, obviously, Cantor on the solo, Del, our shamus, and Eddie on piano. And one final welcome to our rabbi, who is obviously watching us while he's on sabbatical. Over the last 2 days, I think I've gotten a dozen emails from him and constant conversation that way. So knock it off. And of course, I have this sheet of announcements, but I no longer refer to them as announcements or messages. And again, I will tell everyone that please go to the website, go to the bulletin, go to the CNT blasts, which you get consistently. Everything is there. And with regard to announcements or messages, a couple. Save the date for our Purim, Spiel, and Carnival on Sunday, March 5 at 10:30 a.m. And of course, it will feature popular songs from the 90s. And from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Purim Carnival will feature rides, games, and food. Save the date for our Tikkun Alum luncheon honoring Shelley Berkeley and Larry Lerner on Sunday, April 23, 2023 at 11 a.m. Further announcements and information will become forthcoming. Please join us on that Sunday for a brunch. We're very pleased to be honoring our congregants, Shelley Berkeley and Dr. Larry Lerner. The Men's Club Steak and Spirits takes place this Saturday, February 25 at 5:30 p.m. at here. You need the RSVP because they only have so many steaks, And the last time I thought I RSVP'd and I did, and they had to run out and buy another steak. It's really a good event. I'm not going to be able to be there because I have I'm going to be out of town, but please join Men's Club for that event. And finally, we have a grief counseling program with Nan Spector on Tuesday at 4 p.m., beginning March 7th through April 25. Please sign up if you wish to attend. Again, it's with Nan Spector from March 7th through Tuesday, April 25. And with that, Shabbat Shalom to all of our members and a warm welcome to all of our visitors for this evening. Again, Shabbat Shalom.
So I'm really glad that Jerry pointed out the bereavement group is back. Many of you have come up to me in the last few weeks, last couple of months. You missed our first bereavement group, and but you really feel like you need that. You've lost somebody recently, or you're still processing a loss from long ago. Whatever the reason, we're going to have this bereavement group. There doesn't seem to be another one Jewish-related in this area, so we are happy to be that for you. If you've already done the 6-week program, you're welcome to do it again. Nan is fantastic. I'll be speaking at one of the weeks. So again, those will be Tuesday at 4, beginning the first Tuesday in March. So definitely mark your calendar. Also, a couple of save the dates. Like, you're going to get more information about this. We haven't publicized anything yet, but because you're here, I'm giving you the save the dates. So we're talking about Purim, which is in a couple of weeks. We're having a 90s Purim. We're going to have a little, on the 3rd for Friday night, we're going to have a little teaser for the spiel, and then we'll have the spiel and carnival on the 5th, as Jerry said. But then there's Passover, like right around the corner. And, normally we have our Seder here, and it's a big deal, whatever. It's even bigger this year because we're bringing Jewish country music superstar Joe Buchanan back for a country western Seder. So the food's going to be themed that way. It's going to be lovely. So if you know Joe, you know what a pleasure and a treat this is going to be for all of us. So that'll be the first night of Passover, so mark your calendars. It's also my wedding anniversary that night. I knew it would eventually fall on that date. And Pop-Up Shabbat is in the works of being planned for the last Friday in April, so after the Tikkun Olam brunch. And so mark your calendars in your head for that. It'll be downtown at the El Cortez again, and it will feature Disney's only Jewish band, mostly kosher. So it should be a lovely few months filled with lots of music, and we are excited for everything that is to come. So look for those emails that Jerry was talking about. Okay. Now we have our Kiddush and Motzi, which I know you've all been waiting for. And Haley wanted me to invite up all the kids. That was her direction. So if you consider yourself a kid, come on up for Kiddush and Motzi.
Guys, I'm in kindergarten. I'm tall for my age. Oh, Bella.
All right, Haley, you go to the big one.
Well, you're going to go on the other side.
Thank you.
And God blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Al kin berach Adonai et yom haShabbat vayikadshehu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Oh, I'll take the middle.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
All right, now we're going to go to our closing song. It's something we haven't heard in quite a while. It is a very special Enk Eloheinu that includes the language of Ladino. So many of you have heard of Yiddish, which is a combination of German and some other dialects and Hebrew. And Ladino is Spanish and Hebrew. So if you've heard of it, great. If you haven't, that's okay. And we're going to turn to page, where is it on here? 631 in your store, so you can follow the Hebrew and the Ladino.
Turn it on.
And this is En que Eloheinu non como nuestro Dios. En que Eloheinu, en que Adonenu, en que Malkeinu, en que Moshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Now you got the hang of it. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshienu, quien como nuestro Dios, quien como nuestro Señor, quien como nuestro Rey, quien como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu, lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos nuestro Salvador. Let's go to the last verse. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you again to Eddie and to our Bima guests tonight and all of you. And we invite you to our Oneg, and we'll see you at 5 p.m. for Haley becoming a bat mitzvah. And if you want to join our Torah study online tomorrow at 8:45.